Honorable members,
Chair.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Chair.
Oh, thank you very much.
Audible, Chair.
I'm worried.
Yes.
Come again. Honorable members,
Yes, we hear you.
without wasting time, let's officially open our meeting for today. I know you are from different meetings. You should be a bit tired in terms of the engagements that we have in different committees. Let me appreciate you being here today for this very important meeting. And I want also to warn you that the COVID is back. And please, let's take care of ourselves, social distancing, mask and washing hands. It's one of the key things from our side that we should do. All those that qualify to go and do vaccination, I persuade them to go and do it. I've also done it. It's for our own safety, honorable members. Honorable members, I hope we all have the agenda in front of us. And our first item in terms of our program is to deal with the overseeing and scrutinizing the implementation of the executive undertaking made by the Minister of Small Business Development. And you'll recall that that was 28 July 2020. Honorable members, you remember last time when we were supposed to meet, the minister was not available due to the fact that she was abroad. And as well, the deputy minister was bereaved. And we reconvened the meeting for today. And remember, it's a fair fourth time trying to engage with the minister. And I pleaded with you in our last meeting that give me time that I attend to the matter. I must say I did try my best in terms of addressing the matter so that today you don't get a disappointment again. But unfortunately, we are still in that same predicament. The minister is not available because he's supposed to be engaging with the president on matters that pertaining her department. So she's complaining first about the fact that it was a very short notice because we invited her on Thursday last week for the meeting that is going to be today. And she feels strongly that that was a very short notice. I must indicate that. And two, upon further engaging with the minister feels strongly that there is repetition that we're doing this NCOP because he is reporting to Honorable Khai's committee and on the 4th, Friday this week, she is also reporting to the NCOP house. And she feels that we should consider what she presents there as the response also to what we are supposed to engage with her as the committee, which she did it that in writing. I am then going to respond to the minister that e-house has got its own rules in terms of how we engage with the minister. And us as committee, we've got our own rule and we have our own way of doing things. So she cannot say we should accept the fact that he reported to the NCOP house. It is the response for our committee as well. I want to be really quite clear with what is happening between the committee and the minister. As a result, I have taken a decision outside you, honorable members, that after this meeting, I have
recording in progress.
I have to formalize a a letter of complaint to the chairperson of the House of the NCOP, so that he get to know the challenges that we are experiencing between our committee and the minister. I felt I must really be detailed in terms of dealing with this matter, because we do not want this to repeat itself, even in terms of other ministries and also the minister herself. That's the issue about our first item, which I am tabling to you with this recommendation that allow me to engage the chairperson on this matter so that it is put to rest. Over to you, honorable members. There's a hand of Honorable Fisher.
I've got very, very limited bandwidth. I'm not going to switch on my camera. I've got also, okay. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for coming back to us regarding this. I also just want to state it's an emergency that we look into the executive undertakings of ministers. They cannot just every time make an excuse and chuck us around like we are at the moment. And we must remember, a petition is the voice of the people out there, and we have to respect the voice of the people. That's public participation, and that is their way of raising their concerns or their dissatisfaction or whatever, and we seriously have to listen to what the people say. And if we looked at it and it's a legitimate petition, then the minister must make time for us. And she cannot every time say she's not available or she's abroad or she's wherever. So let's make an appointment with her and ask the chairperson to get us an appointment with the minister, and the minister has to come to account, because she cannot send her department. She's the political head of that department, and we need to have her there to see that there's compliance with her undertakings. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Fisher. Honorable Enoch Mteto.
Thanks, Chair. I think you must let's allow you to engage with the minister first. If you really foresee any problem, let's also invite the minister for a committee to explain himself direct to the committee. If he still doesn't take what you explained to her, because your explanation was correct, Chair, that we know what you are doing and we understand the processes. So there is no duplication of jobs here. So if he doesn't want to take that, she doesn't want to take that, I think, Chair, we propose that let's bring the minister to the committee. The committee can deal with it according to the relevant section of this act. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mtamai. Honorable Mtamai.
Yes, Chair, I was just putting the screen on. Chairperson, okay. I once said, I remember one day I think we were in Mpumalanga. I said the minister is not going to see us because he doesn't recognizing us as the serious committee that can meet with him. Up until today, we are still digging to meet with the minister. Can't we take another action? Because minister is not recognizing us as people to meet with them. Maybe we are low class. Can't you do something so that the minister can recognize us? Because we are still going to come again and the minister is not going to see us. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Zanamela.
No, thanks, Chair. Without repeating what the other members have said, I think we've been complaining about the minister. The minister cannot adhere to his constitutional obligations. Then there are processes in Parliament that needs to be followed. Thanks.
Thanks. Honorable Bartlett.
Thanks, Chair. Now, Chair, I'll emphasize on what the other members have said. I agree with the members that must give our Chair time to go back to the Minister. And please, this time around, to avail herself, because it can't be that every time our chairperson is in a predicament and must come and answer to us. But we'll wait on the report back, Chair, please, because it's not the first time, but I hope it will be the last time. We do understand if they had issues, and we do understand if they had the commitments. But I think this time around, this committee of us is very much important, and we are dealing with important stuff. So the Chair can just go back and then get back to us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I've heard you, Chair, honorable members, that you are saying, let's do it for the last time and allow the minister to come to the committee and engage with the chair on this matter so that we lay it to rest and the minister come to the committee and account. We must emphasize that the minister doesn't have a petition. She has to respond to the undertakings of the 28th of July, 2020. So that's what we want from the minister. Thank you very much, honorable members. Can we then pass to the next undertaking? Our next undertaking is from the Department of COPTA. And we were told that the minister will be present today and take us through the three undertakings that are with us. Can we then check first if the minister has already arrived? Because I don't see her yet. Can Mr. Mkhize guide us on that, please? Mr. Mkhize, are you in?
In afternoon, members. No, Chair, it will be the Deputy Minister who will be taking the committee through the presentation.
No problem at all, as long as we have a person delegated by the minister.
Yeah.
Is he logged in already?
Yes, he is logged in, Chair.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay.
And now I was saying, honorable members, it's only three undertakings that we have in front of us. If I can quickly take you through, the Department of Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs and the National Treasurer are working on strategy jointly to support the dysfunctional municipality in a coherent and coordinated way. So undertaking was in relation with that. And the other one is on issue of Bake to Basis, a program which is supposed to be taken to all government and service delivery matters. And the last one was on the issue of addressing the governance issues and the financial issues which they deal with in terms of development process for many of these municipalities that are affected. So we are expecting the department to take us through to those. Can I then allow the Deputy Minister to please take us through? Before that, I must appreciate the fact that the department is forever responding to our communication. If it's not the minister will delegate the Deputy Minister. Thank you very much, Minister, for honoring our meeting, and over to you.
Good afternoon to the Chair of the Select Committee on Petitions and Executive Undertakings, Honorable Nita, and to all other honorable members present in the meeting. My name is Deputy Minister Obed Babela. I have been assigned by the Minister to come and represent. And this area of focus has been also delegated to me since the departure of the then Deputy Minister Dau. So I will therefore be leading the delegation from the department. And from the side of the department, honorable members, the delegation is led by the DDG Temba Fosi, who will then take us through our response to the three undertakings as already alluded to you, Chairperson, which were made by the President on the 27th of October 2020. And in dealing with these particular issues, Chair, in my opening remarks, the document will then focus on each of those issues, but also elaborate also on the lessons learned and then also models applied in different areas across the provinces. And they'll also give you a list of the municipalities that are facing these particular challenges. And but also in doing so, just to also bring to the attention to the honorable members that there are 4 triggers that continuously bedevils the local government space. And then as a result, we have been observing them, and consistently when you look at them, you find that they are indeed given 4 categories. The first is the governance issues that affects local government. In the main, it will be political infighting to political mismanagement, which includes incidences of municipal councils' inability to perform as required by the constitution or legislation, the non-performance of top management, and conflicts between top management and councillors. So in the governance space, this will be what characterize the challenges at the local government. The second category will be your financial matters. The most glaring difficulty experienced by most municipalities is financial non-viability. As you will know that we've got a number of municipalities that are non-viable. They depend on grants, and the equitable share is very little or very low. And then most of them are in the rural areas, but they are needed because representativity is a model of our democracy. Is both a participatory democracy, it's also a representative model of democracy. And then we unfortunately have these particular municipalities that do not have enough revenue base to really grow, to be financially viable. Often this has been due to lack of adequate systems, also that impacts on them, and the capacity to effectively manage the financial situation at the municipality. More often also because they don't tend to attract the best skills. When those best skills are available, they are being grabbed by the bigger municipalities. They have been grabbed by provinces that are doing well. And then because the lifestyles also is not as attractive to those particular skills, you'll find them therefore having very, very big challenges of attracting those skills. The result is typical that the municipality does not raise sufficient revenue due to poor budgeting, also that contributes, poor tariff policies that do not exist, or weak billing systems, poor infrastructure management, lack of internal control related to the revenue management, fraud and misuse of municipal funds due to lack of risk management and lack of credit control, or failure to implement credit control and debt collection policies. When we look at the 39 municipalities, you'll then find that a group of all these issues on the financial situation do arise. The third category is your institutional capacity, Chair. High vacancy rates and long turnaround time to fill senior management positions, poor leadership, appointment of staff not meeting the prescribed regulations, allegations of nepotism and corruption, dilapidated infrastructure, lack of master plan and maintenance of aging infrastructure. Hence, we see now people already beginning to be on the streets demanding better services. The last group of categories that impacts on these municipalities on others is service delivery. Section 152 and 153 of the Constitution clearly set out the service delivery obligations of municipalities. In certain instances, services are not provided in a sustainable manner, tariffs are not cost effective, there's little or no spending on repairs and maintenance, resulting in distribution losses and then services not rendered. So recently, since the President's undertaking, Chair, there have been a number of interventions that have been engaged on in various municipalities, which we'll also share with you in the presentation, so that we could then begin to then appreciate the very in-depth work of our departments. The interventions lessons also are now beginning to give us a model that we are now developing, taking different models that have been learned in various municipalities, Lagos municipality, which we'll also speak about, which we are imposing Section 1397 on it, meaning the national government is taking over that municipality in the coming week, and also other municipalities such as Amaluta Pofung in the Free State and Khetling Refir in the Northwest. We are taking all those intervention models, packaging them into a comprehensive model of intervention so that we could then have a very functional Section 154 system that is effective together with the provinces. And also we're looking at the capacity of COCTAs in the provinces so that we don't wait for a municipality to go to 139. We have to ensure that for 154, which the Constitution says both national and provincial must work together to strengthen the local government in a very effective way. We don't have to wait for them to be in crisis and only come back with 139. And I think the model is going to be helpful. Lastly, this comprehensive support intervention will also not only be COCTA and national, though COCTA will be the driving, supported by National Treasury on financial recovery issues. But we are now beginning to find that other departments that are service delivery oriented towards local government are also being roped in, as we have done in quite a number of provinces. We are Department of Water and Sanitation, because of the water challenges and sanitation issues, is been brought in. The human settlement also is also being brought in. And then we are also engaging with SOEs that are within the government space, those that are responding to those particular challenges in the municipalities. We are also coerce them to come in and also work with us. But in addition, we are also engaging and mobilizing the private sector so that where there is space for participation of the private sector, we're able to do so within the law. So, Chair, with those few opening remarks, I will therefore invite, through your permission, the DDG of COCTA, Tema Fawcett, Department of Cooperative Governance and Transition, Cooperative Governance only, DDG Fawcett, to come in and present on the plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Over to you, DDG.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Deputy Minister, and good afternoon to all the honorable members. Chair, I will request that they flight the presentation or maybe be given rights to flight it from my side. I saw it earlier.
Can you please flight the presentation?
Thanks very much. If you can just put it in a presentation mode. Thank you very much, Chair. As you have indicated in your introduction, our presentation, the purpose of our presentation is to respond to the undertaking that was made by the President, which covered those three areas that the Honorable Chair referred to. We're looking at, firstly, on a joint strategy with National Treasury that is targeted at supporting dysfunctional municipalities in a coherent and coordinated manner. And secondly, to implement the Back to Basics program, focusing particularly on issues of governance and service delivery. And lastly, to look at addressing governance issues and financial issues that have an impact on the developmental processes in municipalities. Can you put it in a presentation mode, please? We have been working very closely, Honorable Chair and members, with the National Treasury. Thank you very much. Just go to the slide, the next one. Thank you very much. No. Go back. Yeah. Yes. We have been working very closely with the National Treasury to do an assessment of the municipalities over the past few years. And the key sort of point that we comes out very strongly is that failure in governance and political oversight have become the primary causes of the underlying challenges of dysfunctional municipalities. And the assessment that has been done, we have identified about 42 municipalities that have serious challenges in all the key areas, governance, service delivery, and financial management. 35 have more pronounced governance issues, and about 45 have more serious governance and infrastructure challenges. And the Treasury also, in its own sort of financial management assessment, they've identified about 163 municipalities that are in financial distress. Looking at all of these challenges, what is clear, Chair, is that local government failures are multidimensional. They are rooted primarily in poor governance, weak institutional capacity, and inept financial management and political instability. And the point that we want to also underscore is that administrative solutions cannot be the cure to some of these deep-rooted political challenges that manifest themselves then in the failures in the administration and so on. The next few slides, Chair, we just identified some of the high-risk areas which the Deputy Minister in his opening also referred to them. So if you look at on the governance risk, these are some of the challenges. I'm not going to go through everything, but just the political instability, failures in some of the municipalities meeting, the non-functionality of the committees, and those municipalities, some that result actually in interventions, Section 139 interventions. On the service delivery ones, these are challenges that are caused largely by infrastructure failures, whether due to aging infrastructure and poor sort of planning and maintenance of this infrastructure, which manifests itself then in sewer spillages, potholes, and all the challenges that result also in communities protesting with violent service delivery protest. And these are some of the challenges then as listed in the slide. But central also to this is the lack and shortage of technical skills in municipalities to plan and manage the whole value chain around infrastructure delivered. And those areas require skills from officials who will understand how to actually technical skills to understand that whole value chain and what is required in terms of management of the whole. And also issues of poor grant expenditure, resulting in many municipalities losing some of the grants. On the financial ones, issues of poor budgeting, unfunded budgets, negative cash balances, disclaimers, opinions, and adverse opinions. If you look at the root causes, Chair, as we've consistently said, the weak and ineffective governance coupled with many instances of absence of a strong political leadership, the absence of a strong cohesive political oversight in many municipalities, weak administrative capacity, high number of vacancies. These are issues that the Deputy Minister also raised. And the lack of consequences in many of the municipalities would then result in many of these dysfunctional municipalities characterized by all of these high-risk areas that we've listed here. The next slide, please. We can move to the next slide. I'm not sure if it's a delayed reaction, but the slides are not moving from my side. The next two slides, Chair, we're listing those for the two municipalities which are characterized by all those key areas: governance, service delivery, and financial management. We're just providing the names per province. There's also a previous slide that you've skipped. It also just shows the list of those municipalities. And these are the municipalities that require urgent attention in terms of support and intervention in certain instances. And some of these municipalities are under interventions, some of them. We can move then to the next slide. Next one. Chair, when Cabinet was looking at, go back please. When Cabinet was looking at the submission on the Ligwa municipality, which required that national government must intervene in terms of section 139.7. The approach that Cabinet took was that we need to look at a comprehensive state of local government, particularly focusing on those municipalities that have a similar sort of, in a similar state as of dysfunctionality as Ligwa. So we have been working with Treasury to develop this analysis and also identify what needs to be done in terms of responses to this. The next slide. The program on Back to Basics remains the core local government program, which will be implemented through the rollout of the district development model and ensure that we collaborate with all the critical stakeholders, sector departments, but also stakeholders outside of government. And that program, Chair, is still sound. And if you look at the pillars of the program, the 5 pillars of the program, they still remain relevant in terms of improving overall performance of local government, starting with the first one of putting people first and their concerns, ensure that there's constant communication and contact with the
Is it me alone who doesn't hear him?
We hear him, Chair.
Come again?
I say we can hear him.
Oh, I can't hear him.
I can also hear you. I can also hear you, Chair, from my side. The second pillar is the one that deals with service delivery, which is about creating the conditions for decent living and consistently delivering municipal services at the right quality and standard. Chair, can I request that I control the sharing because it's a bit difficult when it continues to disappear from my side.
Yes, please do. You are allowed to.
Okay. Well, it just
To save time.
Yes. Can I have the right to screen to flight the presentation from the host?
Can you help us host, please? Because the presentation is jumping all over.
Yeah.
Okay, I will include you, sir.
Thanks, man. Go back to the previous slide, please. Okay.
Yes, I'm on the previous slide.
Okay, you can move forward. No. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Go. Yeah.
This is fine, yeah.
Go back one slide. No, go back. I'm not able to screen it from my side. It says that it's enabled. It will make it easier if I take control from my side.
Okay.
Tell him, Foza, in terms of pages, which page is that?
Okay, we've done this one, and the next one, go to 10. So I was finishing on this one in terms of the pillars of back to basics, that they remain sound and relevant for providing a clear framework of what municipalities are expected to do in terms of legislation. The last three ones, it's about municipalities that are well governed, that cut on wastage and spending of funds prudently, ensuring that the oversight structures are functional and there's transparency and accountability, ensuring sound financial management, and also building sound institutional administrative capabilities. So these are the 5 pillars of back to basics, which will be implemented through the rollout of the district development model. We are working closely again with National Treasury as part of ensuring that the interventions, the synergy, and there's coherent support and coordinated support that is provided between the 2 departments to those municipalities under interventions. And this is led by the 2 deputy ministers, our Deputy Minister Bapela and Deputy Minister Masondo, with the road shows that we have been undertaking with all the provinces to ensure that there's a uniform understanding of how interventions must be undertaken. As the NCOP, you would also know the challenges in how this provision has been applied in various provinces. So this work is really about ensuring that there's consistency, but also coordinated approach in how interventions are meant to really be corrective actions that will take municipalities out of the state that they find themselves in. The next slide, please. As part of the approach, National Treasury also has developed a new model on how to deal with financial recovery processes. And this slide just gives an outline of the 3 stages that the whole financial recovery approach now is premised on, starting with the issue of the rescue, recovery, and the sustainability. On the issue of rescue, when the interventions happen, it's already at a late stage where the municipalities is close to collapsing or it has already collapsed. And the focus is really on how to address some of the short-term liquidity challenges and ensure that the governance and service delivery indicators are in place to ensure that as we address the immediate challenges, the rescue part, we put all the building blocks, which moves us then to the recovery stage in ensuring that you then focus on those areas that have been depleting the municipal financial resources, and also look at clear plans in terms of long-term liquidity potential for that municipality. And the last stage is the one on sustainability, which will ensure that then the municipality, there's a clear sustainability exit strategy and a sustainability plans to maintain all the good building blocks that have been put in place and the interventions that have been implemented during the intervention. And those interventions are sustained beyond just the exit or the revocation of the 139. The next slide, please. We also, in addition, Chair, we have developed the Inter-Governmental Monitoring and Support Interventions Bill. We are currently now consulting with provinces and municipalities, and we're targeting that at least before the end of this year, this bill should be introduced in Parliament. After this consultation, we will take it back to Cabinet for approval. Then after that, we will introduce it to Parliament. But the bill is really addressing two areas, Section 100 and Section 139, which is also a constitutional requirement that we must develop a legislation that must govern these provisions of the two Section 100 and 139. So the bill will regulate the implementation of the processes. It also introduces a requirement for support, for targeted support by provinces to municipalities, and early warning systems to ensure that interventions are really implemented as a last resort. But before that, your Section 154 support and monitoring of municipalities is actually strengthened, and there's clear indicators and processes of how that must be undertaken. So that before you intervene, you must demonstrate what support has been provided, but also the actual processes of intervening that are clearly outlined in the draft bill. The bill also will be providing alternative steps in terms of how we actually introduce these interventions, both by national to provinces or by provinces to municipalities. It also provides for a database of administrators, credible and skilled administrators, which will then provinces can draw from in terms of people that are seconded to manage these interventions. We will be engaging extensively through the parliamentary process on this bill. It supports overall the approach of targeted support to municipalities. Next slide, please. There are quite a number of other interventions, Chair, that we are jointly working with Treasury on as part of the support that we are targeted support that we are providing. And these are some of the examples of that support, supporting those municipalities with the implementation of their post-audit action plans, supporting them with the financial recovery plans, and also with the establishment and strengthening the functionality of the municipal public accounts committees, and also assisting them. We've established actually a multidisciplinary revenue committee, which is looking at the whole value chain in terms of revenue collection and supporting municipalities with this integrated revenue management framework that we've developed with SALGA, National Treasury, and ourselves to assist those municipalities that have challenges in terms of the financial, that are in financial distress. The next slide, please. In addition, Chair, to working with the Treasury, we have also cemented this collaboration through an MOU that we're going to be signing with Treasury that clearly then outlines the arrangements for this joint work, where COGTA will focus on the governance issues, service delivery and institutional issues, and Treasury focusing on the financial management. But because of the interrelatedness of these issues, our joint working together will focus then in these areas in terms of governance, administrative failures, which then leads to financial challenges and service delivery, but also look at the kind of support and interventions that are required. And this approach is, we are basically twins between ourselves and Treasury. There's no, COGTA alone cannot really change the situation in municipalities without the support of Treasury and other critical sector departments. The next slide, please. Chair, on this slide, we're just reflecting that COCTA has been assigned the role of coordinating the rollout of the district development model. As we all know, honorable members, the objectives of the district development model is to really foster this practical intergovernmental relations approach to how we plan, budget, and implement jointly as the three spheres to ensure that we provide a coherent government for the people of the Republic and address silos, duplication, and fragmentation in how government operates. There are lessons that can be drawn from the three pilot site of the DDM, which is OR Tambo, Waterberg, and eThekwini. And critically to the rollout of this is the importance of the evidence-based decision-making, the value of relying on evidence and data to inform the interventions. So we have developed comprehensive profiles and done diagnostic studies that have highlighted the state of development in these areas, challenges, but also look at the untapped potential and endowment that provides possibilities in these areas for unlocking economic growth and creation of job opportunities. There's also an identification of catalytic interventions that will stimulate growth, infrastructure development, and social transformation interventions. The one plan, if we move to the next slide, the one plan which is meant to express all of government commitment has been developed. It's informed by different strategies, economic recovery and reconstruction plans, the comprehensive infrastructure plans, but also it takes into account some of the immediate priorities response to the impact of COVID, how we address the issues of GBV and F, and the economic recovery and reconstruction, as I've said. All of these, Chair, are measures that we will be rolling out as part of the lessons that will be replicated in the other districts. In addition to that work, MISA, Infrastructure Agency, also is responsible for the whole sort of infrastructure development support, particularly looking at the value chain in terms of the infrastructure, from planning to project preparation, financing, procurement, up to the level of operations and maintenance. As part of this, of the priorities for this year, MISA is focusing on three areas. Firstly, looking at employment stimulus packages that will create and focus on labor-intensive construction methods in the delivery of infrastructure. The second area is it's on the improvement of infrastructure asset management practices. In this regard, we have amended the municipal infrastructure grant framework to ring fence 10% of that for operations and maintenance and 5% for asset management planning. And this is the work that we will also enable municipalities then to address some of the challenges around budgeting for infrastructure. So it will be part of the rollout of the DDM. The last area of focus, it's on addressing addressing the water backlogs through focusing on the groundwater mainstreaming. We have partnership with the Water Research Commission that has clearly indicated that many of the areas have a lot of underground water that is not utilized. And the focus largely is on these big infrastructure projects, the dams, which cost more and they take many years to complete. When actually to improve access to our people, we can focus on smaller schemes that actually taps into borehole and ensure that in the immediate people can have access to underground water. The next slide, please. This slide just also reflects on some of the changes that we intend doing in supporting the whole infrastructure and service delivery pillar, which will also look at some of the frameworks the MIG frameworks, the DORA frameworks, which provides for conversion, where if municipalities are not able to provide support or implement, they don't have the skills, we can provide support from national in terms of performing that function on their behalf. All of these measures are measures, Chair, that are really aimed at ensuring that we support the area of service delivery and the infrastructure delivery, which is a critical area in terms of provision of basic services. The next slide. In addition to the work around service delivery, Chair, we are also supporting the Deputy President, who is chairing an interministerial committee that is looking at the issue of debt, municipal debt, which will be consisting of ESCOM debt, but also the water board. But in particular on the ESCOM debt, there's more work that has been done in Maluti to ensure that we find a sustainable solution to addressing the issue of debt in Maluti and other municipalities similar to Maluti that are owing ESCOM the largest sort of amount of debt. And this is through collaboration and working with ESCOM and entering into these agreements, which will ensure that whilst municipalities are assisted firstly with the infrastructure, refurbishment of the infrastructure to improve their billing and also ensure that the issues of smart metering is rolled out to provide certainty in terms of revenue that will be generated from the provision of services. So we are working with ESCOM as part of this process. Deputy President has been engaging various stakeholders in Maluti, including the provincial government, business people that are in this area, to ensure that we find a sustainable solution to the challenge of the debt and the provision, consistent provision of electricity in this area. And this model, Chair, it will also be looked at in other similar municipalities. How do we work together to find an amicable solution to this issue of debt? The next slide. Yeah, that was my last slide. I think this is just recommendations that we're making to the Select Committee on Petitions and Executive Undertaking to note the content of the presentation as a response to the undertakings that were made by His Excellency, the President of the Republic. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let me first ask Mr. Mkhize to please send to our group this last presentation, because we had the other one, and then we were presenting a more elaborate presentation than what we have, so that when members are engaging with this presentation, are able to refer. Can you please do that for me? Thank you very much to both the Deputy Minister as well as presenter for taking us through the undertakings. How far are you in terms of implementation? Now, if the Minister doesn't have anything to add, I will then give to the honorable members to please engage with the presentation by both Minister and the official. I do have hands, but I want first to check with the Minister if it's okay.
No, my apologies. Thank you very much. I think that is the presentation. We'll therefore wait for comments and then we'll then respond, and also towards the end also just conclude on some of the issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Let's then go to the first hand that I have is Honorable Professor. Is this the previous hand or you just raise your hand now?
No, it's my hand.
Okay. And the other one is Honorable Zandamela. Are those the only hands that we have as of now? Okay. Let's take Honorable Professor and then followed by Honorable Zandamela.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And I want to thank Kochta for this presentation. But as you said, we did not receive this report, this comprehensive report. And we really needed this beforehand so that we could study this, because there's a lot of things forthcoming here that we need to discuss for clarity reasons. I want to share with Kochta that we have to face the reality. They've got the perfect plans built in this thing. But currently we're sitting in such dire straits with municipalities totally collapsing. People that do not have already water for 11 to 15 days, without a drop of water, without electricity, without the basic things they need to make a living with. And we sit with areas where faction fightings caused one faction to close a bank account of a municipality, and nothing can be done. We need an intervention of a kind that address the situation and get to the root cause. And the root cause is that the administrations are most of the time more politically active than what the councils are. And that is causing that there's havoc in these municipalities. And they really, I try to stay objectively and listen to all the sides, but really we sit with serious issues where communities say the only way left for us is to burn down towns, because that's the only way when the government listens. This Petition and Executive Undertaking Committee is a very, very important committee. And we cannot wait for June 2020 for a petition that is serving every time, and every time a minister or somebody doesn't appear before us so that we can discuss this thing and put it to rest. But we have to listen to what people say. And if people do not have water for 3 days, it is uncomfortable. But for days on end, it's a disaster. It's a human crisis that's going on in our municipalities, especially in the Free State, in Mpumalanga, in Northwest, in Limpopo, areas like that, where we sit now. And I can tell Kochta that back to basics, and for municipalities to clearly know how to govern, and to follow the 5 pillars of back to basics. That is common. It's not rocket science. But how do we get them? Where is the discipline from Kochta's side to make sure that these municipalities that are constantly at fault, that had numerous interventions, Section 139s, even 1B and 1C, that had, and they now demand to have another one because of their political infightings. But how are we going to ensure that they have the discipline to go out there and to deliver the services they are obliged to deliver according to the Constitution? The main thing we have to look out for, or the root cause therefore, is they are there for status, power, position, and benefit. That's it. If they don't have that, they start fighting. Our intervention must come at a time which is convenient to them to contribute to their factions, and we have to install a discipline in our structure to see that we set aside political differences and indifferences, and that we focus on that what the Constitution says, and in the Bill of Rights, how we have to live and how we have to receive services from the government closest to the people, and that is the municipality. So the joint strategy that I see in Section 139 now of the National Treasury and Kochta is, I think, will be wonderful, but we have to make a plan to incorporate this into a system of collapse where we get our councillors in these municipalities to admit to their sworn-in oath to commit to their wards and their duties there and to go further than that. And I do not know how you are going to get that implemented in this thing, because we can come with a plan, the best plan on paper, the best advice, but if we cannot implement it, it's no plan and it will not surface in municipalities. Thank you very much, and we look forward to see this plan so that we also as public representatives go out and do training amongst our councillors out to see that we turn around South Africa of not being a state of instability all the time, but we get stability and development there, because really we cannot continue now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Professor. Honorable Zandamela.
No, thanks, Chair. We welcome the presentation and the model that the department is bringing. And maybe I should start by saying to the Deputy Minister, the problems in all the municipalities, it's councillors. And one of the things that we need to look at is consequences to councillors. It's them who are creating problems, the infighting, all the things that you said in your opening remarks are true, are there. This is what is happening, and it's creating problems in our councillors. Now, just coming to the quick one, when you said the bill will be tabled to Parliament, but I'm a bit worried, Deputy Minister, because now what I heard from the presentation from the DDG is that the bill covers section 100 and section 139 only. Yes, so my concern there, it's how are you going to go about when you roll out this model and the bill will only cover section 100 and 139? Because what about section 106? And how are you going to go about with the recommendations of section 106? And the bill doesn't cover section 106 because we know that in all the municipalities that were under 139, they were maybe whichever that came before each other, the sections, it's either 139 or 106, but in all those municipalities, section 106 was there. And how are you going to handle those the recommendations, because were there and were never followed in those municipalities? And they were not followed or implemented due to obvious reasons. You know, in other municipalities, comrades protecting each other, other comrades because they are implicated. What about section 106? How is the model going to cater for section 106, and which has reports that are sitting there and were never implemented? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I did see the hand of Honorable Bartlett, and now I no longer see it. I don't know whether she has withdrawn the hand.
No, Chair, it was just on one specific issue on the root causes on page 6, bullet 3. I was just worried about a high vacancy rate, and just to ask them what are they going to do about that. So then I decided not to raise my hand anymore, because that is one of the problems. It's getting problems to us on the issues of service delivery.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other hands? Honorable Kenny Mutamai, Honorable Dodovu. Those are the two hands that I have. Can you start, Honorable Mutamai?
Thanks, Chairperson. Chairperson, I have a very, very serious problem. Katabaya, the municipality, it's finally influencing. Corruption municipality in a yankiwa from Bone, Hankwedota municipality, the very again back door, where what the office in the municipality, the tool, furniture, because the municipality usually municipality or corrupt. How we are with the office in Mubato executive mayor, or no municipality high function, I see it. And more everywhere, location ga gona gore o ka tsamaya o sa fitlhelele metsi a bodileng a nkga mo go tletse metsi a masepa a nkgang gagolo a tswa mo di-training o bona gore mo ke makaka mo and batho ga ba thole service delivery municipality o se o ye court ga gona any change mara ga te municipality o tla phela go etswa yane ke kopa gore deputy minister a mpolele gore ntho tse tshwana le tsena di sebetswa jwang because respectile o bona di-court respectile o bona toka respectile o bona justice e etsiwa for batho ba rona re ka se ka ra re municipality wa sebetsang tse re bona gore o shwele go ka etswa yang o etswe ka municipality e ya mo Mfuleni ga o tlo shebella gape chair o tlo shebella kwa Masiza hostel go ne ga tlo a dintlo tse 2,800 tšhelete e jelwe about 100 million e jelwe ga gona any action ga go etsagale nix go tlo etswa yang ga ka re puso e tshwereng e ya tshwana fela le puso ya apartheid e ne e jele tšhelete morago ga nna dikoloto tsa rona batho ba bantsho go ka etswa yang gore go lokiswe mathata a mo Mfuleni municipality. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tamai. Honorable Dodovu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Firstly, it's always refreshing to get a presentation of this nature, because what it does, it raises issues about the state of our municipalities, where we are, and what is it that the government endeavors to do to ensure that we improve services to our people. But now I have a problem, Chair, because in my view, and this is just an honest view, I have a feeling that we are in a war, we are being attacked, the system is being attacked, but we're fighting with pistols when those who are fighting us are holding machine guns and AK-47, they are holding mortars and everything else that you can think of. And we're firing back with some pistols, and we think that we can win the war. Firstly, we are in agreement. I think there is no dispute. You ask anybody who is involved in the sector will tell you the biggest problems in this country are at municipal level. Local government system is very weak. It is the weakest link of our whole system of government. Government is seen not to be delivering, when actually government is doing a lot of things because of what local government is projecting the government to be. That is where the crisis is. It is weakening the whole system of government. And you would agree with me, Chair, especially those who have been involved in the sector for a very long time, since 1994, that if there is any sector where good policies were developed, good systems were introduced, good structures were introduced. Just thinking about the time when the white paper on local government was initiated in 1997. Since that time, a very good piece of legislation talking about the structures that must be established in local government, very good structures. Think about the new systems which were introduced, about community participation, labor relations. You make what community system, how municipal managers and other senior managers must be appointed. Very, very good. Followed by, for example, the MFMA. MFMA put up a lot of good systems in place. And since that time, just listening to the presentation was saying to us Yes, where there are financial problems, he is calling them financial risks, we have intervened. The post-audit action plan, the municipal financial recovery plans, the establishment of the impact committees, the establishment of the audit committees, and so on. Very beautiful system that were put in place to ensure that we deal with this. And recently, lately, the district development plan is in place. But my view is that as a country, we need a very clear conversation. One speaker says, the biggest problem is at a political level. We must deal comprehensively with the political situation. Councillors are a problem. With due respect, with the greatest respect, councillors are a problem at municipal level. The kind and the caliber of councillors that political parties send to municipalities are a problem. We must look at that. We don't send people with the qualifications, with the skills, with the experience, with the knowledge, and even with the commitment to serve. That is a problem. We send people whose moral attitude is questionable. They are there because they think that local government is a theater of stealing, of thieving, of doing all this manner of things. And that is why there is a problem. Look at the province where I'm coming from, the Northwest. Every municipality is in shambles with all the problems that members are articulating. Not even a single municipality has a clean audit. Not even a single municipality has gotten an unqualified opinion. And these things has been there. Some few years back, we had 8 out of 22 municipalities. They went down, down, and down up until 0. All of them, they are on the ground. And for me, this is what we must confront and say, who's the source of this problem? You have these councillors who are coming in, like I've just indicated. Once they are in, they appoint municipal managers who take decisions and Section 56 managers, and everything thereafter is chaotic. They act with impunity, no consequence management, no actions against deviations, is business as usual. For me, that is the crux. And talking about this new initiative that the government has developed, the question is, will it work under the circumstances? Will it ensure that it turns around the municipalities? I said this on Monday, and I'm saying it again in this meeting. I said on Monday, the same way that our government tackled COVID-19 as a pandemic, I'm sure if the government didn't respond immediately in the way that it does that, and we must applaud our government, the way just it responded to COVID-19, it saved a lot of lives. It locked down, it restricted, it forced us to wear masks. It's so fashionable. In the past, I grew up knowing a person who wears a mask as a criminal, as a tsotsi who is hiding himself, but I do it every time. It is normal. I can't live without a mask. I can't live without sanitizing. I can't live without washing my hands and all of that. It is because drastic measures and drastic actions were taken to ensure that we prevent people from dying in their numbers facing this pandemic. I think, in my respective view, we need such an approach to municipalities. Municipalities are destroying this country. Municipalities are going to finish us off up until we decisively intervene. And this must apply across the board, and we mustn't care who's involved in the process in terms of dealing with these particular issues. And I'm saying The national government has got the power to do that. It has the power to do that. And my view is that it must intervene decisively, put up systems in place, ensure that the law enforcement agencies are working, the SIU and the tribunals that must recover the money that was stolen from the state. If at some point it means stopping the councillors' pensions and say up until this and that matter is addressed, we go to court, we withhold your pensions, and we are going to take them. We are going to recover from you because you are corrupt, and it has been proven that you are corrupt, and it has been proven that you are there in a municipality to steal, and that is what we are doing to ensure that we correct this. Up until when we do not even wink, we don't blink an eye. If a municipality is problematic, we dissolve it immediately. Don't waste time, because we need people with the necessary skills and expertise who are going to work. And wrong things are happening, and people do them. With him, they don't care because they know that there's nothing that is going to happen to them after acting in the way that they are acting. Nothing whatsoever. It becomes business as usual. Look at the provincial governments, what they are doing. And I'm sorry to just say this a lot, but I think it's quite important to give this a context, because we say we're introducing a new model, but that model must be underpinned by the truth and what needs to happen going forward. I was saying the provincial government invoke one of the reasons why we say 139 is not succeeding in the way that it should. Appoint administrators. These people who are failures, they were somewhere in other municipalities failing. We take the same people, we appoint them in other municipalities. It's business as usual. This is the problem. We remove the councillors, or we place them on administration, but we don't appoint people who are right. And in my respective view, national government, in terms of the constitution, especially section 1397, it has got to come in, declare municipalities, local government a disaster area. And once you declare the disaster area, it means that you bring your force, you marshal your force to come into local government and fix it. Once you fix it, good roads, people with water, electricity, that will restore the confidence of our people to their own government. Up until we don't blink, we confront it without any prevarication. I think that will be the solution in terms of dealing with the problems of local government. I'm sorry to take a long time, but I thought perhaps I must, in my own view, respective view, put this into context and say we need to do something to address the challenges that are facing us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dodovu. Can I give it to Honorable Ntetwa? Please don't do what Honorable Dodovu did. Took that long. Thank you.
No, thank you, Comrade Chair. Honorable Chair. Mine is just to add on what the other speakers have already said it. It's just that I need to find out on the, firstly, let me appreciate the collaboration between the support between Treasury and the COCTA, especially in the recovering plan of the financials. But my challenge is, Chair, how are you going to deal with municipality, particularly those that are not cooperating with this structure? Is there any plan to deal with those, or you simply just refer those municipality in the law and order situation? That's all, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ntetwa, and also thank you, Honorable Dodo. Sometimes you need to say all those things as they are, because it's us who are interacting with these challenges, and we must be able to show the public that these things that are saying to us, we are communicating them. I've got only 3 questions, Chair. Chair, Honorable Minister. One is on the issue of the technical skills that are lacking, an area that you have identified. One, I would like to know the reasons behind of lack this technical skill. Reason I'm asking again, Chair, your Honorable Minister, is that in some municipalities, they don't have such technical skills because of the challenges they face in terms of revenue collection. They cannot have enough funds to be able to attract the person that they need. So I just want to know from your side, what are the reasons behind that? And the other one, high rate of vacancies. And it goes hand in hand with the issue of IDPs and budgets that are not approved by municipalities. Because in one of your slides, you said, you also identify consequence management as some of the things that is not being done by municipalities. IDP and budget, irresponsibility, yabantu two. Mayor is responsible for that, working with the municipal manager. Obviously, if that thing didn't happen, it means there's someone to account so that the issue of consequence management is being done. So how I wish that out of identifying this, you have also engaged with those municipalities and show them that there are persons that are supposed to account for that, as well as the issue of high rate of unemployment, of high rate of vacancies. It is his responsibility to ensure vacancies working with council are closed. But if it is not happening, is it because, again, they don't have funds? Because some municipalities, they adopt unfunded budgets. And the last one, the poor grant, expenditure of grant, it's very low. Again, you need to know who's responsible for that. Because as long as we just identify these things and don't link them to the persons and those persons account, we're just writing all those things in a paper and nothing would change and nothing will happen to those that put us in this kind of quagmire. Over to you, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Chairperson, let me ask the officials to deal with the questions that are suited to them, all of them. And I'll only come at the end to deal with those that are high level or political. Thank you very much.
Is accepted, Deputy Minister. Officials, over to you. Help us.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and honorable members for the questions. I think the questions are very insightful, Chair, and they're raising really the critical issues that are confronting all of us as it relates to the state of local government in this country. There are measures, Chair, that we are just starting with the last questions that you have asked. Firstly, on the issue of poor expenditure. And if you look at the root causes to the issue of poor expenditure, it's in a way also linked to the issue of skills or capacity. Well, sometimes there's no capacity to manage the whole sort of infrastructure value chain, from identification of projects themselves to procurement processes, appointment of service providers, and so on. But one of the interventions working also with MISA, the colleagues will also add here, just to protect and safeguard the funds, one of the measures through MIG that we have introduced is what we call cost reimbursement. what investment does, we only pay on the basis of what has been delivered, on the basis of the invoice, on the work that has been delivered. And many of those municipalities that have challenges of spending, we have introduced this cost reimbursement. But that cost reimbursement, it's applied also coupled with the support that MISA provides in terms of technical support to those municipalities that have challenges. The issue of vacancies, Chair, I think particularly technical of high rate of vacancies. I think it's you're correct that one of the challenges is because of the inability of municipalities to attract. They don't have the low revenue to can actually afford some of these expertise. But the other challenge also that we have observed, it's also when there's disagreement within the municipality itself in terms of who should be appointed. And this also manifests itself then in these positions not filled because the councillors themselves can actually agree. But as part of the rollout of GDM, we are mobilizing different stakeholders to assist with the support. Beyond just the MISA engineers, we're working with also different partners that are bringing technical and financial management skills to augment that the capacity gaps that are there. And I think the issue of consequence management, it's a critical issue because as Honorable Dodov says, we have sound sort of policies and systems which clearly articulate what needs to be done. But in many cases, you have situation where there's just total disregard of the law. Things are not applied, according. So some of the issue around accountability, it's about also then holding administration accountable for where there's total disregard. But it becomes what the minister calls omelette when then the administration and the political, it becomes one thing. So it becomes difficult to then hold anyone accountable. But I think from our side, we have put sort of measures to try and provide support. The Honorable Mtetwa on how collaborating. I think the lessons that are emerging now with this Liqua and other municipalities, where the courts themselves now are also getting into this space, where national is also forced to actually intervene. But the approach that we're taking with Treasury, we are also recommending to Cabinet that we need to be decisive, because where there's municipalities that have collapsed, it means that 1397 must be applied. And it's the first time that it's applied in Liqua. It has never been applied before. So we'll need to also now look at how do we prepare ourselves nationally for taking over many of those municipalities that have demonstrated inability to actually abide by the regulations and the laws that governs local government. And I think, Chair, the Honorable Dodov, I can't agree more with the issues that you have raised, but I think the right person to respond to the issues that you have raised, I think the Deputy Minister would be best placed to respond to that you have. But I agree. I think the issues that you've raised, we've made the point in the presentation up front that administrative solutions cannot cure political problems. So some of the challenges with that are manifesting in Northwest, for example, that you made the example of, some of those challenges, there's nothing much administratively we can do. So they require a different platform and different approach to dealing with those issues. I think the Honorable Mtsamai, there is an intervention that is already underway in Mfuleni to deal, which is led by the Department of Water and Sanitation, to deal with the issue of the spillage of sewer into the van. And that intervention, it was triggered by, because initially there was an intervention there which did not work. But the problems of sewer spillage in that township and then also its impact on the van necessitated then the department itself to just intervene on water issues to deal with that specific challenge of sewer spillage. So that intervention is led by Department of Water and Sanitation, but it involves ourselves, the province, and we're working with the various sort of department to ensure that we're not just focusing on the issue of sewer spillage, but address some of the issues that Honorable Mtsamai, you're raising around governance, institutional issues, corruption. There are investigations that are underway to look at that. I think on the MC bill, Honorable Zandamela, the approach with section 100 and 139, its focus, it's on the executive obligations where municipality has failed to perform them. But one thing that is critical now that we have introduced that we're proposing in the bill, we're actually putting interventions as a last resort, but emphasizing firstly the issue of monitoring and support. Because your section 154 support, when there's an investigation on section 106, which is a statutory requirement, it means then we must ensure that those investigations, the resolutions or recommendations of the forensic investigations are implemented. And it's part of the support, oversight, and ensuring that we monitor municipalities effectively in terms of implementing their responsibilities. That section, it's already provided for, so it cannot be part of the section 139, because overall, as I'm saying, it looks at the executive obligations. But as part of the implementation of the 154 support, we will be looking at all the statutory responsibilities of municipalities. The issues of unfunded budgets, there's a program treasury that is also rolling out to target those municipalities and ensure that by end of June, for example, when they adopt their IDPs and budgets, finally, those budgets that are adopted are actually funded. I think the issues that Honorable Professor raised also, these are issues that some of them, of course, will require sort of political response to them. But on the issue of supporting areas where there's serious crisis of water shortage and so on, we are working with the Department of Water and Sanitation to address the agency in providing water to those communities, and also working with the provincial government. My colleague also from MISA will also be adding to some of my responses. I've tried to cover as many as I can. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we allow Mr. to add?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to you, Chairperson, and the honorable members. My name is Mapatane Khomo, and I'm a DDG from MISA. I would just like to add on 2 points. Firstly, on the MIG expenditure, where you asked, Chairperson, what is the reason for the poor expenditure of MIG and who is accountable and responsible. So I just wanted to highlight a few areas that we have identified as MISA as we engage and support municipalities. So firstly, there's poor planning on the side of municipalities when it comes to infrastructure development, which also contributes towards the poor expenditure because there's no forward planning. And unfortunately, municipalities plan during the financial year where they're supposed to be implementing. And the weak procurement practices broadly in most of the municipalities that have been perennially underspending on their MIG. And also internal differences in municipalities. I think Lekwa is a classical example where they could not spend their MIG because there were differences, especially at administrative leadership level, between the MM and the CFO and the technical director. So those are some of the reasons why municipalities are underspending on MIG. And the role of MISA, chairperson, is quite limited where MIG is concerned. We do provide support in terms of helping municipalities to identify priority projects, packaging the projects, registering them for MIG allocations, but we do not have the authority to procure. And that is why we are now saying there needs to be consideration for the application of Section 20 and 21 of the DORA, which actually allows and enables national government to intervene where there is under expenditure. Because where there's under expenditure currently, there's stopping and reallocation. But then this section actually allows national department to redirect the funding that goes to municipalities to be directly implemented by national government, whether it's through an implementing agent or whichever measure that is applicable. So that's one of the intervention that we are putting in place as MISA with the department to address the issue of MIG under expenditure. Now, in terms of the lack of technical skills, yes, you are right, Chair. Municipalities cannot attract the necessary skills for different reasons, and one of them being the remuneration that is being offered to technical experts such as engineers, and municipalities cannot even retain this expertise because they are sought after by both the public and the private sector. So our programs as MISA to capacitate municipalities on technical skills varies from deployment of young graduates to even training municipal officials at different levels so that we can build that capacity that can be retained in municipalities, not only at the level of directors, but even at lower levels, so that we can have these technical skills retained in the municipalities for infrastructure development improvement. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Can we allow the Deputy Minister to add?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Just to take on a few political high levels and also noting on some of the issues. The Minister of Culture, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, had always been giving a diagnosis of the local government in South Africa as follows: that it is a scrambled egg. And we cannot separate the white and the yellow once the egg is scrambled. So what we need to have is to have a fresh egg where the yellow is in the center and is visible. You can see that is what is called administration, which was permanently there, professionalized. And then the white then comes surrounding the yellow, that comes and go every 5 years. But once it's scrambled, politics and management and infighting and all sorts of things is a problem. And I think that is a perfect analogy of where the local government is. In starting afresh, we really have to unscramble this scrambled egg and really deal with the politics that unfortunately are interfaced with administration. It's a mess, as the minister will always say. And then secondly, then obviously, that is the role of the political parties. Here's an opportunity in the forthcoming elections. Send people that are capable, people that are well-read. And we don't say all must be academics with degrees and what have you, but it must be people with sound or some basic knowledge of why they are going there to go and serve, who will be able to read and then be able to interpret the situation and be able to serve the people and not serve themselves. And therefore, currently we're working with what is there. And I think the corrections using the forthcoming local government elections will go a long way in unscrambling this particular egg and then cleaning the local government system. Then there's this other issue of the revenue based also is declining due to unemployment rising, the economy that is not performing, and then the revenue of municipalities in a very serious decline. I mean, you take the metro of Ekurhuleni, they've declined by 5 billion rand of their revenue simply because many people have declared themselves as indigents now. They can no longer pay what they used to pay to the municipality. And how many of those we can cut across the 257 municipalities? So this issue of COVID and having added more problems to our economy, and then the economy recovery going to take a bit of time, obviously is now impacting on the revenue of the municipality. So therefore, there's no money that municipalities can then even collect. Those that are able to collect, the percentage has dropped. And then the third, it will be around the issue of the formula of local government finance. This formula, in a long term, we ought to review. Currently, it stood at 7% since 1994, until 3 years ago, when they moved from 7% to 9%. And I don't say throw all the money. The problem currently is not the money. However, going forward, having fixed whatever are the challenges, and we ought to look at the formula, because they are the cold face happens, and we ought to really relook. And we also took away the financial powers from the municipalities through the regional services that used to bring in money, also for local government. They are all gone. And then they have to depend on the equitable share, and then also on the grants, conditional and non-conditional grants. We all then have to relook at the formula of finance, having solved problems, because currently you throw the money in, it will just go into the pitiless hole, and we cannot then therefore risk it now. But in the long term, definitely we ought to. Even that formula of the 9%, 44% of the money goes to 8 metros of whatever is the equitable share. 44% only ends up in metros, and the 249 municipalities, both the 44 districts and the 209 local municipalities, must then share the balance of whatever is remaining. So the metros have a bigger cake. It's only 8 of them, and then they revisit that particular formula of loan. And then there's this issue also of the population growth and migration. Why the big metros gets the money is because people are leaving the rural area, the metros, and then this migration and the urban space and urban agenda is not well managed. It's so rapid, and then that the resources that the cities and the towns have in trying to service the people are becoming too little, because so many people are just arriving every day, and a year you find that it's quite a number of sizable population that goes there. When they arrive, the infrastructure is too small. It was designed for fewer people, and we did not even begin to spend money to enlarge and expand on that particular infrastructure. It's old and it's giving up in many instances. And I just want to make that last scale example of Honorable Mutsamai was saying Mfulweni. Definitely is on the high list, Mfulweni, for a maximum intervention, because the current intervention, even by the province, is not really taking us forward. You still walk in there, smell all over, dirt everywhere, uncollected garbage and all sorts of things. It's simply because the population grew. We built new houses and put people there. The infrastructure is not able to cope, because whatever is the infrastructure built that is there, it does not even go to the water treatment. It goes into the open field. It's not able to go to the water treatment. The water treatment is as old as was built in 1935. And here the population was that size. Now it has grown explosively. And the city of Johannesburg, whatever is the infrastructure that they have of the sewer, it must download to that water treatment down there next to the Vaal River. That is why you find the local municipality spillage into the water, Mfuleni spillage into the water, Miziama Hulu spillage into the water, and therefore we have a crisis around the Vaal River because we did not really begin to look at this movement and migration and also resourcing those municipalities really to deal with the infrastructure. And then also there's this issue of the drastic measure that Honorable Professor and I think also Honorable Dodobo spoke of. Definitely we'll want to go that route with this particular intervention. We are still working out and refining it, where we even have to go on a model of dissolving municipalities using 1397. But it says also, the Constitution says, only when a province fails to do so. You'll always then say, indicate to the province, hey, this municipality, we are creating problems, we are getting reports. What are you doing as a province? Can you really attend to this matter? They most of the time don't attend. If they attend, it's not as effective. And then only when you have gone through 154, it fails. And 139, 123, it fails, ABC, then you can then come in later as national. So there are municipalities that are there that were listed today that we want really and recommending dissolution. I will not say which one. Some of them have 2 mayors and 2 speakers. There's a stalemate.
Yeah.
The people are suffering. There's a complete standoff. And therefore, when we wanted to move in, they said, but you did not do 154 first, so that you could then demonstrate that you tried. And then you didn't do 139. Okay, the 139, some of them had failed on 139. So 1397 ought to come in where we dissolve. Reading with 1395 with National Treasurer have to come in, and also read with Municipal Finance Act 156 and 150. So that we could then say dissolve this municipality and take over. However, the takeover by national, we need capacity too, because currently the department themselves are not fully capacitated. Well, then it means then we need to look for resources to go and put people who can then go and till and then turn things around so that service delivery, which is impacting on our people, as all honorable members says, ought not to suffer. We ought really to go and ensure, therefore, that as a result of whatever infers that are there, we should not make people to suffer. We're in the dissolution, I think the councillors will be paying and going home, no salary. And I think the drastic measure that Dr. suggests, we'll have to look at them, because in the pre-interim, such measures were there. Even a town clerk, as they were called at the time, does not perform in terms of the APPs and all those things. They used not to get the salary. They will then say, you don't get your salary, you didn't perform, the revenue is declining, and we are there, what are you doing? But today, if you do so, people rush to courts. And they will then say, my rights have been affected, and the courts will be more sympathetic to them, and will lose cases streamlined. And I think therefore it was just really then to say, we will definitely want to look at drastic measures, but without breaking the law, without breaking the constitution, within the processes of the constitution. It's frustrating sometimes, but that's what we ought to do, because we chose this type of democracy in South Africa. And an investigation on criminal charges, which is the last point, takes forever. 2 years, 3 years, a person is under investigation. Money has disappeared, as Honorable Mutsamai was saying about the houses in Mufuleni. And and an evidence points, but investigation by professional bodies, the law agencies, will take forever. And we don't have examples in society that wrongdoing is punishable in society. And we really ought to look at the system of local government that can really fast track management consequences, and then where there's corruption, criminal investigation to be instituted. And also the communities must also be partners of local government, because they are stealing the infrastructure. Now there's a huge list of theft now on the transformers that are bringing water and electricity. There's vandalization, some of it purposely so that those who are owning trucks to go and truck water tankering, they can do so. They send these young boys to go and then do something. They just give them 100 rand each. They then destroy a valuable infrastructure. We have the law that was passed by the cabinet 3 years ago. I've never seen it's now realizing its objectives, such as the economic sabotage, that anyone that touches any infrastructure that is bringing services to the people, being electricity, or water or any, then may face up to 25 years in prison. We really ought to engage the law enforcement agencies to say, you've got the law, you are armed, please make sure therefore that we protect the infrastructure too. It's just but a few of those, and thanks to honorable members that we're able to take some of them on board as we finalize the comprehensive model, having intervened and learned lessons in our interventions across. And I just want to thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity given. I hope we're able to respond to the challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister. You both responded very well to our questions. But what I would request from the Office of the Deputy Minister and the Minister, you have a list of municipalities that have identified serious matters, like not adopting the IDPs. I'm saying this, Chair, your Honorable Minister, because we are also serving in the COPTA committee. Would like to know the list of those municipalities so that when we engage with them in another level, rather than this one, we are able to do our oversight in terms of things that are happening in a specific municipality. That would help us. And I will argue our honorable members that let's look at this report. It's quite comprehensive. It's also assisting us when we engage with different municipalities. And the last one is to look at the issue that was said by the Deputy Minister, that we need to look at how municipalities are financed in terms of their budgets. They have indicated for us that the biggest slice is going to metros, understandably so, but at the same time, this criteria that they are using, it's disadvantaging municipalities that are rural and they are having serious backlogs. I'm not taking it back to you, Minister. I am just reminding us as honorable members that are responsible to adopt the budgets of different municipalities, that let's look at that and make sure that we try and correct some of these things based on information that we receive from different ministers. On that note, I do not see any other hands. Let me then thank very much the department for the quite good presentation which they presented to us. It really gives hope that the decisions that were tabled in the State of the Nation address by the President, those are policy issues. And now we can see that you are taking serious those policy issues that are coming from the State of the Nation address. We really appreciate that. How I wish other departments would do so. And when decisions are taken, they get to be implemented. It's quite refreshing and also exciting for me as the chair of this committee. And I hope the other honorable members, they also have the same observation I had. Thank you very much, the meeting. And now we can release you. We're not done with our meeting. We'll go to our next item of our agenda.
Thank you, Chairperson, and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes?
No, just saying thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're going to our point 3, consideration and adoption of the progress report on the executive undertaking made by the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services during the question and answer session of the NCOP on the 27th August 2019. I'm sure you did have the the report. We have looked at it. I will assume that we have looked at it as well as the recommendations that are in the report. Can we allow the honorable members to adopt the report? Honorable members, are you with me?
Yes, Chair, I wasn't sure. I wasn't.
There are two hands. I see Honorable Dodo's hand. I hear the voice of Honorable Bartlett, and I also see the hand of Honorable Ethel Ngosi. Can Honorable Dodo, if the hand is fresh, talk to the recommendations?
No, it's an old hand.
It's an
Let me
old-
give others an opportunity to.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
In case that there is a need to talk. I will.
Bartlett, I heard your voice.
No, Chair, I wasn't sure because I just spoke about the report of 2019. So I wasn't sure. I wanted to move the adoption, but I wasn't sure. That's why I wanted to look at the date, Chair.
Yes, it was. They were responding on the 2019, but it's us who discussed those.
No, sorry, Chair. Yeah, I was in the meeting where we discussed it, Chair. So I
Yes.
wanted to move, but then I had Honorable Dodo and the others still wanted to talk.
Okay, so you are moving.
Yes, Chair, I'm
Honorable,
moving.
thank you. Honorable Ethel Ngosi.
Thank you, Chair. I second the mover.
Thank you very much. That takes care of our point 3 item of the agenda. Now we're on point 4, consideration of draft minutes of the meeting held on the 19th May 2021. The minutes are flighted. Can we then here see the recommendations in terms of the minutes, which I am sure you have gone through them because we had time to look at those. And here, if they are the true reflection of our meeting of the 19th May 2021, if there are things that you'd like to add, and also those that you'd like, you feel strongly that we never discussed, can I see the hands of the honorable members? Honorable Ethan Ngosi, is this the old hand or else the new hand?
It's the old hand, Chair.
Oh, sorry. I'm still waiting for your hands, honorable members, to adopt the minutes.
Let me also move, Chair, for the adoption of the minutes as true reflection of what we have discussed on that day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ethan Ngosi. And then Honorable Sheikh, your hand is up.
Yes, Chairperson, I second the move for the adoption of the minutes, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sheikh. And that takes care of the items of today. And our point 5 is closure of the meeting. Let me thank you very much, honorable members, for your attendance and wish you a safe journey back home. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Tatovu.
It's a pleasure.